Mike's Daily Podcast.
Hello, I'm Mike. Yes, it's the only thing that keeps me sane these days. It's
Mike's Daily Podcast.
I was telling my financial advisor today how I've been trying to get things done, and this podcast was a number one because you have to have a little bit of frivolity in your life through all the seriousness, and I think that I must confess that this podcast today, it's coming to you from Podcastro Valley Mont.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
The last place on earth. And what podcast picture shall we do? A recent one? Probably.
Mike's
a
Daily
picture from
Podcast.
Ah, yes.
Yeah!
The thing I was telling you about on the last podcast, that little excursion I made, that Mike excursion I made and hung out with Addendum with Kevin and his lovely lady friend. We had a great time, a frivolous time, a wonderful time at his job, which was a brewery. Yes, it's good to have friends that work at a brewery. So I just want to do a quick podcast today. We're not going to get too into anything, but we're going to learn stuff. It's what we're going to do. So a little bit of learning. There are benefits to still wearing a mask. Now, I was told that we're probably not going to have to wear masks on airplanes pretty soon, which, to me, I'm like, hallelujah, because I remember when you're not used to doing it, I think I did feel kind of ill. One of the first flights I had to do with a mask on. Like, you feel like you're not getting enough oxygen. And if you're already a nervous flyer, it can be crazy. Then, by the time, and that was like the first or second flight I did. Now I've done about 6 flights or more since we've had the mask mandate. And I've gotten used to it, but now apparently that's going away from what I heard. So, but the podcast picture today will be...
And here's today's podcast picture.
The place with the beer. And a beautiful sunset. I think we'll do the sunset picture I took with the city off in the distance. You wear a mask to prevent the spread of contagious diseases, but you may not have thought of these amazing benefits to having to wear a mask. This according to Medium.com. And Jennifer Greer wrote, I've heard some odd ideas about face masks recently. In America, we seem to be politicizing them. And unfortunately, right at this moment, a couple studios away, there is... the late great Basil the Boxer is barking. Probably he's saying up in heaven to me, Mike, wear your mask. Be safe. No, but somewhere out there is a guy doing a radio show where he has a lot of callers calling in because they agree with them because, nobody else in the world of media is saying this, supposedly. That's why you got to turn and listen to the Russian news network, RT, and support the Russians. No, don't do that. Of course not. But it's interesting how Russian news network was very anti-vaccine. And apparently they're also anti-human being because they endorse the invasion of Ukraine. But back to wherever I was going with that. Yes, politicizing masks. And Jennifer Greer goes on to say, as we have done to everything ever since a certain orange and... Well, she claims it was someone orange pitting one against the other in a real-life version of The Apprentice. But Jennifer Greer goes on to say, now here we are trapped in a surreal world of reality TV that we didn't sign up for and we can't get out of. Well put. Wearing masks shouldn't be political. It is science. It's also a kindness to your fellow citizen to wear one. And there are things that, now she kind of goes into a long discussion about that, and apparently she does not like Trump much. But here's some things for food for thought about wearing masks. And I must say, I don't know if it was because I didn't go out as much or if I had the mask on, if that helped, but I did not have any colds, maybe some mild sickness, but that's about it in the past couple of years that I've had to wear masks. So you don't like shaving, you're growing your pandemic David Letterman beard, and you're throwing your razors out the window. Well, a mask can help with that. Or with makeup. Now you can skip almost all of it. No lipstick, blush, or face powder. Now I guess that's starting to have to come back. You can save all your efforts for your eyes. And she says, go overtime on your eyes. And that's true. Have you noticed that in the pandemic? If you've gone out and people wearing masks at certain jobs, their eyes are like insane. They do all this work on their eyes. So think of the money you save for your usual Sephora bills, she writes, but you don't need as much lipstick, blush, or face powder. Now maybe the eyes won't be as paid as much attention to. In the beginning, face masks of any kind were hard to come by. Remember that? Jennifer says, I remember one day in March when I felt panic and began disastrously cutting up old t-shirts and attempting to make my own homemade masks. Remember that? People making homemade masks? Fastening them with hair ties. Really? Wow, she went ultra MacGyver. I didn't get very far. Apparently you need fabric shears for cutting fabric. Who knew? But now my troubles are over. You can get cloth masks from a variety of places. I was on BART this past Saturday, and there was a sign, apparently you still have to wear masks on BART. And it said, if you do not have a mask, just go to the booth. They've got free masks there. So now, very easy to come by. And unfortunately, all through the pandemic, people have been throwing perfectly good masks on the ground. That just infuriates me, because that is a hazard to animals, to small animals, furry critters, and the like. And it's just unsightly. But as we go outside a cafe anyway, we're bringing Mike's Daily Podcast somewhere in Castro Valley, Mont, the last place on earth. Disney sold a Baby Yoda face mask. And then on the plane back from Florida, there was a lady with a fiber optic face mask. So she's wearing the mask, and in the dark light now of airplanes, you know, they have a lot of mood lighting in planes. Her mask was doing all these interesting colors, like, you know, those old fiber optic bushes that would turn different colors and be all shiny and do kind of that rainbow thing. That's what her mask was doing. It was pretty cool. Now, here's a question for you. Sidebar, side tangent. What is up with, on planes now, every single window is shut. Every window lid is slid down. Everybody's got their window shut on a plane. In the middle of the day, I understand, because maybe you want to sleep. But it's like all the time now. When I take off and I'm not in a window seat, so I have no control over the shutter, I want to see me taking off. I want to see if I'm actually in the air. I want to see if it's if it's not some kind of simulated flight ride thing like Star Tours. I want to see off the groundness. But no, I want to see clouds. I want to see the view from above. In fact, that should be the podcast picture today. Never mind the thing about the brewery. We'll get to that at some point. We'll do a picture from up high in the sky, and I was by one of the few times on my trip to Florida, my very unfortunate trip to Florida. As you know the reasons, I've discussed it many times. If you don't know the reason, go back to the last podcast to listen. But this is episode 2392, by the way. But yeah, beautiful picture from the sky. See it at mikesdailypodcast.com. 2392. Let's look outside. I mean, now we don't even care that we're flying. We just assume we're in the air. I want proof. Perhaps you've moved beyond the pimple stage and want to hide your laugh lines or other wrinkles on your face. You can cover it up with a mask. You look intelligent. Okay? Nobody will see if you're making faces under there. That's true. Well, there you go. Some reasons for wearing a mask, even though some people see them as it's so politicized. And when I was in Florida, I did not see many people wearing masks. It's true. And that's true even several months ago. Now the numbers have dropped all over the place. Interestingly, though, in places where people have not been vaccinated, the numbers are still high. So what does that tell you? But outside a cafe anyway, somewhere in Podcastro Valley, Mont, the last place on earth, look who's here.
Hello, Michael Master, it's Madame Rootabega, and I like looking outside of the windows of the planes. Oh!
Yeah, you're up there in the sky, and maybe you'll see an angel fly by, or Superman, or a UFO.
Yes, Michael Master, I'll see a UFO. Oh!
Some people like to call them UFOs. Do you say UFOs?
Yes.
Do you say, when you're flying in the sky, hello, oh, that cloud looks like George Clooney?
Yes.
Do you sometimes look at clouds and go, oh my gosh, they're so big?
No.
Yeah. What? This has been the best conversation ever with you, Madame Rootabega. She just walked away. Look who else is here.
Hello there, Mike. This is Valentino, the parking attendant.
And it's Bison Bentley.
Mike, we heard that you was talking about clouds, and we like looking at the big fluffy clouds when we're up in a plane day.
Yeah, plane. Do you know that?
You guys are like right up in my face. I remember back in the days when we would do the social distancing of 20 feet, but now that I guess has gone, so... Oh, that's the other good thing about masks. No bad breath. I don't have to smell your bad breath. We all have to smell our own bad breaths. But that's okay. It's done. I guess masks are going away. Sayonara. Now, I did a podcast like this a couple months back where I thought masks were going away, and then they immediately came back again. So, who knows? But they do say if you are at risk, you should wear the M95 thingy, the really big one that straps around your head and your face and your neck and your ankles. And so it does not come off, and you can't breathe, but it's perfect for you, and it keeps you healthy. So there's that. But next show, it's going to be the wonderful Chely Shoehart, Floyd the Floorman, John Deere the engineer. Before I wrap up the show, and before I give you the phone number to call me and tell me what you think about anything we covered today, I was remembering that years ago I got to meet Trick Pony, the country band that did not have a tremendous amount of success, but the lead singer was a gal named Heidi Newfield, and there were two other guys, I can't think of their names. They were very talented. They disappeared, lost to the records of country music records, the story, the history books of country music. And I was thinking about them and how cool they were. I remember they came by the radio station I was working at, K-Hay, with a big old tour bus. We got to see it, and they did a little concert for us, an acoustic show. And a bunch of people showed up, and that was fun. And then they did a special thing, because I was hosting a show called the Santa Fe Cafe, and it was on the radio station K-Hay. And they were singing, and they did kind of this a cappella thing where they went, K-Hay, okay, 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 Santa Fe Cafe. And that has been lost. It was on a reel-to-reel, and I don't think I have that anymore. Oh, but I got my mom's paintings. So at least there's that. And there's that. Oh, there's this. The end of the show. And the phone number to call me, 336-MM Daily. 3 + 3 = 6. MM as in Mike Matthews Daily, as in what this podcast will try to be this week. We'll see how far we get. Take us out, A-Fred.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at mikesdailypodcast.com. Email Mike now at mikesdailypodcast@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye!